Hi, my name is Talon Miller. This is my video for the Journal 10 assignments for Saving Private Ryan for the Psych and Pop Media class with Donna Autry. Um, this assignment is about applying a theory of altruistic behavior to scenes in the movie Saving Private Ryan. Now, we had a few to choose from, and I personally chose the empathy altruism hypothesis, which basically details that altruistic behavior occurs because of like an empathetic need to like ease another's suffering, to relieve their distress, without any sort of personal gain expected. Um, this is like really driven by like just a selfless need to help others. And I think that there's a lot of examples of that in the film, but I have three that I'm going to talk about. Um, so, in the first half of the movie, um, the character Adrian Carpazzo, played by Vin Diesel, they're going through this first village that they come to, and there is a French family with a little girl hiding up there, and the parents try to get them to take the kid. And the captain and everyone else is kind of saying no, and he takes upon himself to bring the kid and try and bring the kid to safety. And I think this can only sort of like, honestly, it would impede the mission to have to deal with helping the kid, and it doesn't help him at all, besides, in like any way. So he can't be expecting reciprocity from this. It's just sort of something he feels is like a moral obligation to help somebody. He really wants to just like, I think he feels for the family. He says the kid reminds him of his niece. So he's kind of seeing someone he loves in them, that's kind of reminiscent of kin selection theory, but that's some more about actual relatives and people close to you. I think he has an empathetic desire to kill, not to save the girl. Sorry, I misspoke there. Um, and he gets shot immediately afterwards, and the kid goes back up into the building. So it was really kind of it didn't work out for him, but he showed a lot of empathy for the kid in that scene. Because around the middle point of the film, um, they find a radio tower which is being used as a base for like a future ambush by the Nazis. And so the captain orders for them to try to rush it and take it. And in that battle, the medic Wade gets shot, and he's the one that gets shot during that battle. And during that, they all collectively come to him, and they are all doing the best they can to like save his life and wash the blood away and put pressure on the wound. And eventually, the translator asks him what he needs them to do, and he says to give him morphine, which is kind of him preparing to die and wanting to not have any extra pain. And so they take the morphine from his pouch and give him all of it, and he eventually dies there. But I think for them to do that for him and have such like a concern for his suffering to like give him all the shots of morphine they had, and for them to also they don't know really, they're not medics themselves. The guy dying was the medic, but they still felt enough empathy for his survival and his well-being that they wanted to try to save him. I think that is a good example of a empathy altruistic behavior by pretty much the whole squad is participating in that, which I thought was really nice. A side note there, a little bit after that scene, I thought it was an empathetic. During that, the translator does a lot of the least actual helping, but he is the one to ask the guy, ask Wade, what he wants him to do. But after that, they capture the guy that they think shot Wade, and he's the one that encourages the captain to let him go and let him be like a prisoner of war. So, um, in that way, he is that was an altruistic thing just for the translator to do, because there was a lot of all the other members were really against him for that. They were getting like mad at him, and he kind of took it upon himself because of his just for his empathy for the guy, you know. So I thought that was that's not a full one. That was just another side example I saw around that same point in the movie. Um, in the last half of the movie, there's a lot of small scale examples of altruism of like the soldiers helping each other during the big final battle at the bridge. So that's important to note. But I think when they finally find Private Ryan and he refuses to desert his company and leave the bridge, and he wants to stay and like help at least fight off the wave of soldiers that's coming, I think that is an altruistic act for him, because he's talking about he doesn't want to abandon his brothers that he's made during combat after he's found out his other brothers have died. And so he's really, in a way, that kind of gets the company that we followed into more trouble because now they have to stay around for the battle. But it is heroic of him to want to continue putting himself on the line when he has a ticket out of the war. So I think just that act of staying is an altruistic thing, and I think in that instance he has empathy for the situations of his fellow soldiers. He doesn't want to be like the one guy that gets to go back for a stupid reason. He wants to continue to help and like assist them, which is not a stupid reason he's going to go back, but like he something they talk about a lot in the movie is that everyone there is losing people and like having a hard time. And so like they say they all got mothers. So yeah, I think he had empathy for the situations of all the soldiers around him to want to help them survive the coming battle. And that's another example of the um, empathy altruism hypothesis. And in the same way, a little bit after that, the main company that is led by the captain, Tom Hanks' character John, um, he's the captain, so he has rule over what the private does, and they decide to join the private and help the company that's been there defend the bridge. So that's also sort of a self-sacrifice by them, because a lot of the company, including John, dies during that. So there is altruistic self-sacrifice there in helping this other company that they could have left. So that's kind of two for one, because they're kind of connected in my mind. But I think I think it's for the same reason there, though. It's a shared empathy for the fellow soldiers that they meet there. Um, I think this particular theory does a good job of explaining the behavior in the movie, but there's a lot that could be applied to it. I think social norm theory applies to you could apply to some of these and to other examples in the film. I think group selection is a theory that could definitely apply to a lot of the situations in the film. Pretty much all of them work except for maybe reciprocal. I mean, all of them could work, but I think the last three work the best. But I think they do a good job explaining the behavior. I don't know if a theory can really explain it fully. I feel like, all of these are theories trying to be like this is the reason, but it's really a combination of a lot of factors because no one is thinking specifically. I mean, maybe, but I think a lot of these in different situations, different different theories are more correct. And so, and they can be a lot of overlap in someone's thought process or just like their instinctual drive in these altruistic situations. So, I think it can't really fully explain it, but maybe a combination of these theories gets close just because of the complexity of human thought, and what we go through in those situations. But anyway, I thought that's pretty much it for my explanations. But I thought this was an incredible movie. I really liked it. It was hard to get through about the first 30 minutes of the D-Day scene. That's pretty intense and rough. But regardless, I thought it was a great movie. It's not necessarily fun to watch for a lot of it, but it is a good movie, and I liked watching it. But that is it, and thank you.